Okay, let's dive into the source material you've brought us today. We're looking at the stablecoin issuer circle,
Right.
and they're reportedly making another, well, pretty significant move towards going public.
Exactly, yeah. The sources we have really detail the latest steps Circle's taking with its IPO plans. It's happened again.
Okay, so our goal here, let's unpack the key details from this material, try to understand the timing, why now, and figure out what this specific move might signal for the broader crypto space.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a moment worth looking at closely. There's a lot going on there.
So let's jump right in. The core news, what the sources are highlighting, is that Circle has reportedly again upsized its initial public offering.
Right, and this repeated upsizing is, I think, a really key detail here.
Okay.
Initially the talk was 24 million shares, priced somewhere in the $24 to $26 range.
Right, I remember that. And then it went up.
Yeah, then they boosted it to 32 million shares, and the price range nudged up to like $27 to $28.
Okay, and now, what's the latest number based on the materials?
So now, the latest reporting suggests they're looking to offer a total of $1.05 billion.
Wow!
Yeah, by selling 34 million shares.
34 million. And the price?
And pricing those shares at $31 each. So, that's quite a jump.
Yeah, that really is, both in the number of shares and the price per share. Definitely higher than before.
Exactly.
It kind of suggests maybe strong market appetite or just confidence from their side.
Could be both. And the sources also mentioned that standard thing for underwriters, right?
Oh, yeah, the extra option.
Yeah, that 30-day option to purchase an additional 5.1 million shares.
Right. Basically, if demand is super high after the sale kicks off.
Precisely. Standard stuff, but good to note.
And where and when is this all supposed to happen?
The planned debut is set for the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE.
Okay, big leagues.
And the date mentioned is June 5th. So pretty soon.
Right around the corner. Okay, a major platform for what could be a significant crypto-related listing. Now, let's talk valuation. This $31 price and the number of outstanding shares the sources mentioned, over 220 million from a recent filing. What does that mean for Circle's valuation?
Well, based on that math, this pricing puts Circle's valuation at about $6.9 billion.
6.9 billion, okay. Yeah. And what are they reportedly planning to do with all that cash raised? The sources note no dividends.
Yeah, no plans for dividends. Their stated intention is pretty clear. Retain the funds for business development,
okay,
expansion, and interestingly, potential acquisitions.
Ah, acquisitions. So growth-focused.
Definitely. We even saw some specifics mentioned from a previous potential offering level, like if they'd raised $319 million at $27 a share.
Yeah.
The plan then was to use about $111 million of that just to cover tax obligations.
Okay, big chunk for taxes.
Yeah, and then the remainder was earmarked for, again, new products, expansion, and potential acquisitions.
So investing back into the business seems to be the consistent theme there.
Absolutely.
What else stands out in the reporting? Any big potential investors mentioned?
Yes. This is where it gets pretty interesting, actually.
Oh.
The sources highlight that the asset management giant, BlackRock.
BlackRock, wow.
Yeah. BlackRock has reportedly signaled plans to acquire a minimum 10% stake when Circle debuts.
Okay, hold on. BlackRock. That's a massive player in traditional finance. A 10% stake in Circle. What does a reported commitment like that signal, especially for a stablecoin issuer?
It's a huge signal, I think. I mean, BlackRock isn't just throwing money at any crypto company, right?
Wow.
They're reportedly focusing on Circle, which, let's remember, issues USDC. And USDC is the second largest stablecoin by market cap, as the source material notes, citing DefiLlama.
Right, number 2.
So this suggests, increasing institutional comfort, maybe specifically with the more regulated stablecoins.
Regulated being the key word, perhaps?
Could be, and the infrastructure around them. It's like linking that big traditional finance capital directly to a major digital asset player. It's quite a connection.
Yeah, that connection feels really powerful. Now, while this IPO attempt is generating all this buzz, it's important context. Like you mentioned earlier, this isn't Circle's first time trying this, is it? The sources frame this as their third reported attempt.
That's right, and it's a crucial piece of the story, I think. It adds perspective. Their first attempt mentioned here was way back in 2021.
Okay, what happened then?
They were planning to go public via a SPAC acquisition, one of those special purpose acquisition companies, with an Irish holding company involved.
The SPAC route. Popular for a while there. But that deal?
That deal ultimately didn't close. It fell through.
Okay, so attempt 1, no go, then attempt 2.
That was much more recent. Earlier this year, actually. They filed their IPO with the SEC officially on April 1st.
April 1st. Okay, but then they paused it pretty quickly, didn't they? The sources point to a specific reason. Something about President Trump's tariff announcements.
Exactly. The sources explicitly link the pause to President Donald Trump's April 2nd tariff announcements.
And the impact was?
Well, according to the source material, those announcements, quote, tanked global markets and stopped many in the works public offerings.
Wow. Okay.
So Circle reportedly hit pause on their plans because of that market volatility. It just wasn't the right environment.
That whole history really shows how sensitive even these big crypto companies are to, broader market conditions.
Totally.
And economic policy shifts, just like traditional companies, really.
Absolutely. They're not in some separate bubble. It underscores that they don't operate in isolation at all.
So looking beyond just Circle then, are other crypto companies making similar moves towards public markets? Is this part of a pattern?
Yes. The sources definitely place Circle's action within a broader trend. Other crypto firms have also been boosting their IPO plans recently or are reportedly considering it.
Okay, like who? You mentioned eToro.
Exactly. eToro, the trading platform. They boosted their May IPO target, aiming for $620 million, up from an earlier $500 million goal.
Okay, so another upsize. Anyone else?
Well, the crypto exchange Kraken is reportedly considering going public this year. That's been rumored for a while.
Kraken, okay. And BitGo, the crypto custody firm.
BitGo too, yeah. They're also reportedly gearing up for an IPO later this year. And the material notes they just launched a global OTC trading desk back in February, may be positioning themselves.
Interesting timing. So there's definitely some momentum here. It feels like they're following the path sort of carved out by Coinbase, right?
Yeah, Coinbase was really the pioneer in this specific wave for major U.S. crypto firms. They went public back in 2021, listing on the NASDAQ.
Right, so Circle, Kraken, BitGo, they're kind of the next wave, potentially.
It looks that way. This wave of potential and actual public listings clearly shows these crypto firms increasingly trying to integrate with traditional financial structures.
Yeah. And the source material also brought up some other kind of related thought-provoking ideas, something about dark stablecoins.
Yeah, that was an interesting sidebar. The idea that as regulations tighten around things like USDC, you might see the emergence of dark stablecoins. Basically, stablecoins trying to operate outside or maybe beneath clear regulatory frameworks.
Like an unregulated alternative popping up in response to regulation. That's an intriguing potential side effect.
It is. And there was also that quote mentioned from a legal panel, apparently.
Oh, yeah. What was that again?
It was something like, crypto wanted to overthrow banks, now is becoming them in stablecoin fight.
Oof. That quote really captures a central tension, doesn't it?
It really does. You have these firms like Circle, born out of crypto,
right,
now pursuing NYSE listings, getting investment from giants like BlackRock. It definitely makes you ask how much of that original, anti-establishment or disruptive idea remains as they mature and integrate.
Integrate into the very system they maybe initially aimed to replace or bypass.
Exactly.
Which brings us nicely to you, the listener. Why should you specifically care about a stablecoin issuer like Circle trying to go public? What's the relevance here?
Well, I think this whole event, Circle's IPO attempt, it's a really tangible demonstration of how major crypto companies are increasingly getting woven into the fabric of traditional financial markets.
It's not separate anymore.
Right. Seeing listings on big exchanges like the NYSE or attracting serious interest from firms the size of BlackRock, that tells you this isn't just some fringe tech anymore. It's attracting serious traditional capital, and it's operating on these mainstream stages.
And it also, like we discussed, highlights that even these big crypto players are, susceptible to the same macroeconomic forces that impact traditional markets.
Definitely.
That paused IPO because of tariff news. Clear example. They aren't immune to global economic tremors or policy shifts.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's just a significant data point. It reflects the ongoing evolution of crypto adoption.
Yeah.
Public listings like this, they provide liquidity, visibility,
Yeah.
potentially speeding up adoption among a wider range of investors. But And this is key. It also forces these companies to operate under much more traditional financial scrutiny and rules.
Right, the trade-offs of going mainstream. So when you see Circle upsizing its offering, attracting huge names like BlackRock and other crypto firms maybe following, it's more than just a finance headline. It's really a key indicator of where the digital asset landscape is heading in its relationship with traditional finance.
Yeah, it really marks a critical phase, I think, in that ongoing journey of crypto towards, well, maybe mainstream acceptance, or perhaps convergence is a better word.
Convergence. Okay, so as these crypto firms like Circle move towards public listings on places like the NYSE, and they attract investment from these traditional financial giants.
Yeah.
Here's a final thought for you to ponder, kind of pulling from the themes in the source material we just explored. Does this integration, this move into traditional finance, does it represent the successful maturation and mainstream adoption that crypto, or parts of it, aimed for? Or, by becoming listed companies, engaging with institutions like BlackRock, does it fundamentally change crypto's original vision? Does it end up making it look, well, more like the traditional financial system it initially set out to disrupt?
That's the big question, isn't it? Something to definitely keep in mind as you watch these developments unfold.